Hello, and welcome to your weekend Rangers podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew, and I'm joined tonight by three of my very favourite podders, Andrew, Kenny, and Sheryl. I got to be honest, folks, when we were getting volunteers together for this podcast on the Monday, I didn't think we had too many, hands up. Obviously, we got even less for the Monday podcast for some odd reason, but I wasn't going into this game with a lot of optimism. Even though it's Rangers and even though it's Europe, it's Jose Mourinho, it's an away game, and at a certain point, you feel our luck had to run out. But I don't even think it was luck that got us the win last night and Thursday away in Turkey. I think we outclassed Fenerbahce significantly. Couple of millimeters here and there, and that could have been a 5-1 away win. A ridiculously good performance. Rangers switching to a 3-5-2, so back three of Tav, Suter, and Proper, although that would change as the game went on. Yilmaz, Baron, Raskin, Yefti, and Diamande, and then Cherney and Dessers up front, and a kind of maybe a two or a 1 and a 2. But I don't know. It moved about a bit as well, I think, as the game went on. Andrew, Kenny, you obviously had the post-match reaction. We do encourage folks to go and check that out. But Sheryl, I'll go to you first because obviously you've not had a chance to talk about it. So how did you find the game last night?
Do you know what? I didn't see that coming. I thought we were so poor on Saturday. I know we always say that Thursday nights are different. I know that we can pull it out the bag in Europe. There needs to be a thesis on how and why that still continues. I don't know if anyone can give us the answer to that. But genuinely, I didn't see it coming. But really, when you think about it, kind of Lyon aside, we've majorly produced in Europe this season. But it was from the back to the front. They were absolutely excellent. So much so that we are mainly communicating through the medium of in our house tonight. So it's like, you want pizza? Enjoy your pizza. And that's how it'll be for the foreseeable future. And so it should be, because it was an excellent performance. We know the much maligned Dessers, we know what he can do and he can't do, but he absolutely played out his skin. And like you say, Andrew, had it not been for two really, really tight decisions, it would have been a 5-1 victory. But again, we didn't I know we'll come to it later on, but even that, we didn't let our heads go down, that we waited through long checks. We could see at home, there was a chance that they were both just offside, but uncharacteristically, easy for me to say, we didn't let that bring us down. It didn't throw us off our stride. Probably us at home, I felt pretty deflated after both of them, but the team just did not seem to let that bother them, and it was an absolutely fantastic performance. Every man on the pitch, I think there's nobody that you can look at and say wasn't a standout.
No, definitely. Obviously, we deployed some really revolutionary tactics in this game, Andrew, including Jack Butland deciding to nut Robin Proper so hard that he went unconscious and had to be subbed off for Leon Balogun. I think that's a tactical masterstroke. It's unconventional, admittedly, but it definitely threw our opponents a bit. And Balogun comes on and looks rock solid at the back there as well. Suter and Balogun, we've said before, I think, at least in my opinion, are our best defenders, and we got to see them along with James Tavernier as centre backs, and it really worked for us. One or two little hairy moments aside.
I did find Jack's strategy of friendly fire to be quite a puzzling one. I had to admit, that's on Jack to tell him he's going there. Somebody said to me in the work today, "Do you think it was the crowd? It wasn't loud enough?" I was like, "Come on, just shout! You're not that far away from each other either. In fact, you are that close. You put the boy out cold." I think that the puzzled look on Proper's face as he was sauntering off the park was "You're telling me he didn't give me a shout? Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Doctor?" Wow. Yeah, that was a bold strategy, we'll say that. But I was thinking, with the way it had lined up, I went, okay, we'll see how this goes. And then obviously the spanner in the work is Leon, who Barry had told us was not fit enough to start, with 27 on the clock or something, if that, and comes on to, I think this could be a long night for Leon if he's the old man legs, but if he can keep doing what he's doing, then long may it continue. But we know this. We were having the conversation last night. Could you imagine if instead of 36 we got him at 26? So, but this is one of these ones where it's the catch-22. We've seen the best of his experience because he is that age. If he had got him those years early, would he have had this much kind of, strong character and just willingness to just do what it needs to be done for the team? That's a debate you could have in itself. But yeah, the setup was strong, just about as strong as the contact between Butland and Proper.
Yeah, I think that's excellently put, mate. We obviously we don't need to talk about the kind of goals in detail, but it's the way that this game swung back and forth, Kenny, that made it just a fascinating contest, because we get a goal from Sheryl Dessers, which is onside by about a hair's length. Completely ridiculous, like in terms of the goal line clearance. Fantastic to see. They come back. Rangers concede a goal from a set piece. I know, shocking, but it did happen. Admittedly, a fantastic goal because it's almost an overhead kick. Shoots the ball directly behind him. And Sheryl Dessers, no, he scored two other goals that were unfairly chopped off. Vaclav Černý, again, popping up, scoring a critical goal for us, which he's done several times this season. Fantastic goal, and a fantastic one too between him and Dessers as well. The fact that we were 2-1 up at half-time away, that was miraculous enough. There's the fact that we went on in the second half and won that as well. That was just a fantastic performance, and deeply frustrating that this only seems to happen in Europe on Thursdays. But if it keeps happening, then I'm not going to complain too much about it.
No, listen, it was a fantastic game of football to watch, actually. It was really end-to-end stuff for most of the game, and I just thought that on the day we defended better than Fenerbahce for a start. Our back line did defend pretty well, and we took our chances and we were very clinical. But they're a very good side, Andrew. I said that to you the other night when we were on, that I have watched them a couple of times. Watched their last game, the last home game in this tournament against Anderlecht, and they beat them 3-0, and they could have beat them 6 or 7. They absolutely demolished them. So you're up against a decent enough outfit, because Anderlecht are a good side. And look, it was one of those kind of crazy games that, as you say, you sit there watching it, and anybody that's watched Rangers over the last few weeks will be exactly the same as me. You're just shaking your head, giving it, where on earth has this come from? It's just bamboozling that they turn up on a Thursday night and do this. I've always said I put it down to the pressure of year in, year out. We start the league season badly domestically, and we're always playing catch up. And sooner or later, it catches up with you. If you're not demolishing teams 3-4-5-0, that constant pressure of playing catch up just can't. It'll get to you in the end. So I've always kind of put it down to that there's no pressure on this Rangers side to go and win a European trophy. We don't expect that to happen. So they're playing with a lot more freedom, I think. Doesn't matter who the manager is. If you look at it now, you could put Mickey Mouse or me or you in there, Andrew, and we'd probably go and get results for this Rangers team. It's crazy. And it's... I seen a wee tweet earlier on, actually, which made me laugh, and I'll not repeat it verbatim, but it was Rangers in Europe are one of the world's history's greatest oddities, right up there with the Bermuda Triangle, and how on earth did Les Dennis marry Amanda Holden? And that's not what it said, but you know what I mean. And listen, I was delighted last night. I just thought we were fantastic from start to finish against, as I say, Andrew, a really good side who will come back or come over to Glasgow next week, and they'll create chances. We'll need to be playing really well yet again to get through this tie, but very proud of the guys last night.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that both the players and manager were keen to stress. It's only half time. We're not there yet. We're not counting chickens, all this stuff. And I mean, Ibrox has not exactly been happy hunting ground for us either in the last few weeks. So I know. So we can't guarantee that we'll turn up and have that same performance. And we know that Mourinho will probably have more of an idea about what our team can do on a Thursday, as opposed to the St Mirren and Queen's Park performances, for instance. So I think he'll have a better idea about what we're going to do. quick shout out to Dujon Sterling, who came on 75th minute and really sort of sturdied the defense, made sure that we were still quite solid. Yeah, it's good to see him again. He's a good option to have. He's obviously, I'd say, less technical than Ridvan Yilmaz, probably a bit just sturdier in terms of providing that defense, but certainly calmed things down and made sure that we limited Fenerbahce's chances as well. Sheryl, obviously, we know Jose Mourinho is not quite the force that he used to be in Scottish football, but he was very complimentary in a way to us, while stressing, obviously, we shouldn't get carried away. Made the point that we could have had 5 goals and that everything that his team had done was terrible. So, I mean, we're getting this recognition on the European stage, and it's really good to see. I just really wish it was combined with a bit more joy on the domestic front.
I know, absolutely. And then you kind of go down the route of, well, is that why we're doing it? Is it because it gives these players a chance to get themselves in the shop window? I don't know, is that a part of it? Obviously, we know that they'll have more time on the ball, etc. There's less pressure in Europe, but you don't know if that's a big part of it. I seen that Mourinho had highlighted Butland as well, the saves that he made, and Jack Butland's just kind of like a kind of microcosm of Rangers, isn't he? He does something utterly ridiculous. We've seen it against St Mirren, we've seen it across the season, we've seen it yesterday, but then he went on and his saves kept us in the game as he went on. He had a series of excellent saves. So it's really, really frustrating, but I thought it was brilliant that he highlighted him as well as part of the reason. I've seen him have a wee bit of a needle at the referee as well. I don't know if he's got much point there. However, it's what he does. It's what he's very good at, isn't he? And like you say, Andrew, we need to be so aware of what he's capable of and what Fenerbahce will be capable of. But it's a Thursday night. The feel-good factor's back. It's in Europe. We've got everything to play for. We've got an excellent chance of going through, and Barry Ferguson has outfought him and outclassed him and out-tacticked them, out-thunk him once already. So why not do it again? He's more than capable of doing it, as are these players.
Completely agree. Did out-thunk him. Like Barry Ferguson after the match is obviously quite humble. This is his first European match he's ever managed for Rangers, so it's a pretty good way to make your start in a managerial career. As far as I know, at least, I don't believe that Alloa had any matches in the European competitions. I might be wrong. I mean, it's me in Scottish football. I could absolutely be wrong, but it's still a fantastic way to make your start managing in Europe. Outthinking Jose Mourinho on a tactical basis, it's pretty good. But yeah, we know we've got it all to play for come next week, Andrew. We cannot get ahead of ourselves, despite obviously keeping an eye on the Roma Bilbao game. Afterwards, I don't think we can take anything for granted because it's this Rangers team. You could get anything come next Thursday.
I mean, well, what's happened in the last 2 home games is that last 2 games back playing in Scotland. I'll get round the away game to home game situation by playing. We played Rugby Park in Scotland and Ibrox in Scotland. So there you go. Both those games we conceded 2 inside the back of space of about 25 minutes. So that shows how shaky we can be, and if that were to happen at Ibrox, I think I would have fallen to liquid at that point. I would have absolutely just disappeared in my seat. It would be absolutely disastrous. Which I'm sure I've said absolutely disastrous in context of a couple of games in our season this year, as we tend to cart out one of these games every now and again. Fingers crossed it isn't next Thursday. As we've said this before, this Thursday night feeling, I was kind of hoping you would have hit me with the kind of how you can use the fair use policy with the Foo Fighters, that you would have like 2-second snippets of the Europa League anthem across the entirety of the show tonight, unfortunately. But I know you're a busy man, Andrew, and
I was going to throw in video of Jack Butland doing a diving header into one of our own defenders, but I just didn't have time this evening, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you would probably have to put an 18+ on that one for violent
probably
content.
get demonetized for that one. Yeah.
If BT Sports UFC highlights are getting no ad revenue for violent conduct, then I'm sure that we would have lost it for tonight. I think obviously the crowd will be up for it next week. You know, that as our Turkish Yanis's dad. I was surprised he didn't get a reaction, to be honest. It's just a side point, but you know, he said it himself, Ibrox baby, it's just different. So then those European nights at the Ibrox produce some magical moments. Magic moments like Joe Aribo turning into the best left back you've ever seen in the history of football. With turning to see maybe Tav turn into the prime Maldini, you know, it's one of these. Just who knows what happens? Spin the magic wheel and see what happens. Because if you give me the script for this Rangers season, I would have said which fiction writer, which absolute garbage fire of fantasy story have you just chucked at me? Because it's just I'm not buying it. But yeah, long may it continue, and the march till the Bilbao bound Bears continues.
Yeah, we were singing that song in the Bermondsey Beer Keller last night, and it was the Bilbao that we're going to, not Bilbao, the Bilbao, because otherwise it doesn't work with the song. So you just got to stick with that. Kenny, we're gonna move on and get into the rest of the news, but there's always going to be talk about Barry Ferguson now because of this win, because of how he's got an reaction out of the team. I think it's fair to say he's not got the best reaction out of the team, given that, you know, that Motherwell performance just sits there like a cold weight. But if he manages to, you know, keep on going, and just as an aside, Leon Balogun trophy every time he's had a season at Rangers. I'm just, you know, throwing that out there as a thing. If Barry Ferguson keeps up a winning ways in Europe, then he's going to be in that conversation, you know, rightly or wrongly, for folk to keep him on as the manager come next season. But where do you sit on it, mate?
Personally, I don't think he'll get it. No, but look, he's come in. He's came in at such a difficult time that, you know, personally, I think that, you know, the result on Saturday wasn't particularly down to him, right? So I'm not going to moan and complain about anything that he did on Saturday. I thought the first half we were just abject, like beyond pathetic. And when Motherwell are turning up, and this is with no disrespect to Motherwell at all, because they thoroughly deserved the win, but when Motherwell are turning up and kind of toying with you for 45 minutes and just ragdolling you and bullying you about the place, you can't blame a manager for that. That's the players on the park that have got an issue. A manager can only set them up and out they go, and, you know, between the white lines, and that's you done. So do I think he'll get the job? No, I don't. I think that if the takeover happens, mate, I think they will almost certainly have a sporting director and a management team in mind, whether it's already or as it happens. I think they will go their own separate way. I think they'll have how would you put that up? They will have an idea on infrastructure from top to bottom, up from bottom to top, if you like, the football side of things. And I don't think Barry will be that manager, no. But I'll give him a big compliment. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. Last night, he got his tactics spot on and all the rest of it. But after the game, you Andrew and I, Stevie, had did the pod, and I started watching all the interviews and stuff like that. And if you go and listen to it back, Barry Ferguson sounds literally word for word like Big Alec McLeish. And everything he says, the tone of his voice, and I know he's been shouting that much, that the tone of his voice, but go and listen back to it and you will, I promise you, close your eyes and you'll think it's Alec McLeish. It was really funny. But he talked in the same manner as Alec McLeish, and he had that air of authority that I really do like. I will say this, that I think you're in safe hands with somebody like Barry Ferguson in terms of the temporary situation that we find ourselves in. If nothing else, by all accounts, the atmosphere around about the training centre, from staff, players, you know, coaches, everybody has all went up massively. So there's an air of happiness, of relief, or whatever it may be, that it's the change has happened, and we're in decent hands, mate. And I can't call whether he'll get the job, but I doubt it because of that. I think the takeover is going to happen, and I don't see him necessarily being part of the plan, unless he does go and get us to the final or something like that. And then they will have a real issue about do you really want to go? Because if he does get us somewhere like that, fans will very much be on his side, Andrew. So it's a tough one when you come in as an interim coach, isn't it?
Would you be adverse, Kenny, to keeping him on as maybe part of a kind of bigger coaching staff? Maybe in that it wasn't particularly successful, but the Alec Ray position as somebody that knows the team, knows the league, knows what the club's all about. I don't know, suggestions we're going to bring in somebody that maybe doesn't know Scottish football as well. Hopefully we don't, but would you maybe keep him on in that capacity if he does what he's doing so far, a relatively good job?
I'd love it, but you think back to Barry Ferguson's interview with Pedro Caixinha, and where do you see yourself in a few years' time in your seat, mate? So Barry has that confidence in himself. He has that people call it arrogance, and I don't mind that. I love that in a football player and a football guy. You need it to be at the very highest level. Look at our opposing manager last night, one of the most arrogant, self-confident people on earth, and one of the most successful with it. So yeah, I would love it if he would stay and he would consider doing that, and perhaps be, almost kind of guided into the job in 3 or 4 years' time. I don't see Barry wanting to do that, to be honest. I think he'd say, no, I'm taking it now, or I'm not taking that at all. You can come back to me when you're looking for another manager and offer me full time then.
I don't think it would fit in that, because obviously Gary McAllister will take that role when Gerrard comes back and trounces everybody and gets us another undefeated season. I think is what I read in the next movie script of this Rangers team. But I've maybe just spoiled that.
Could you imagine that midfield? Gerrard, McAllister, and Barry Ferguson. They'd win any game of five-a-sides, even now.
Kenny, there'd be guys going off with broken legs afterwards as well.
Can they have too much passion, lads?
That's what passion, spelled PASHUN. Absolutely. Listen, folks, I'd love to just sit here and talk about Rangers, getting another famous European victory, but we'd be here all night if we had to do that. We did spot an interesting figure at the game last night, or two interesting figures, actually. Greta Raffensteinsen, the 49ers technical director, was sitting next to Andrew Kavanagh, who's the investor who's obviously been strongly linked and heavily involved with the upcoming takeover. So hopefully that's the kind of game they're paying attention to, and less so, our domestic performances, because that showed that there's some good bones in the team. But it does, continue to emphasize that this takeover thing is very much chugging along. The guys there are involved, and as has been said before, this is not going to be, the deal's completed in, I'm just making this up, this isn't a date, I don't know anything, I'm not Stevie, So if the deal's completed end of April, the guys aren't going to then suddenly come in and then start properly having a look at stuff. It will very much be, we know what we're planning to do here, and now we can start implementing it. So it's good to see that they're keeping eyes on. I think it's clear that they've obviously got a strategy and plan in mind for this as well. But it does throw out the interesting question, because, we're talking about managerial prospects here, potential technical directors as well. Obviously, we've seen that growing more and more in use. Sheryl, have you got anyone in mind? Have you got any names that you think would work for us, or you just going to say you?
The rumour, the kind of rumour going around is it's someone who knows the club and the league very well. So with that in mind, are we looking at ex-players like Bocanegra? Are we looking at Weir, Claudio Reyna? I don't know. I know that Bocanegra kind of started pretty well at Atlanta, but it's kind of gone to it slightly. I don't know. Out of those three, I just love that I was part of the group that dreamt of a team of Davy Weirs However, the way that Davy Weir left, yeah, not so much. But again, we don't really know the whole truth around that. I think is he down at Everton now, Davy Weir, or did he go back to Everton?
Brighton.
No, Brighton.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
right, okay. With those rumours, yeah, you would like it to be someone that came in and knew the club and knew the league particularly well as well. So we get that element of getting our bread and butter right and getting things sorted on the ground first before we then take things further in Europe. It's just hugely exciting, Andrew. I think it's brilliant. Going against what the financial and business experts in the East End say. You know, again, it would be the most strangest thing ever if it didn't happen, but you know, it's moving along, it's progressing, it certainly looks like it is. So I just think it's hugely exciting. I know that perhaps the last sporting director we had, it didn't go too well. However, I think we've got all going to plan. We've got people in place who will be able to make that appointment and make it a really strong one, and one that will hopefully work for the club as well.
I completely agree. I think I would like to say I'm a big fan of guys telling us they do not care about this takeover, not one bit, and then write like 400 words underneath our YouTube videos talking about Rangers and the takeover. That's good. I mean, there's no hypocrisy there, none whatsoever. Carlos Bocanegra I'd love to see back because Captain America, big fan. But yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, Andrew. You know, it's a lot different from where we were even a month ago, where I don't think anyone was massively excited for this summer, beyond hopefully seeing the back of some players. And now there's all manner of potential and you know, promising futures and exciting things happening that we can start getting, you know, optimistic about.
I've watched the Rocky franchise 12 times since this takeover news has arrived. You know, Apollo Creed is something I'm tempted to put up in the wall here. I think we just need to be on brand from now on. Yeah, it's very exciting times. I think we've mentioned many a podcast the last few weeks with when it was really started to accelerate that, like for guys my age, I'm only used to people getting chucked out of the building and never told to never come back, or you know, musical chairs in the boardroom. So some stability would be very nice from my point of view. It'd be a breath of fresh air, I think is probably the best way of saying it. I'd like to see Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, being our sporting director, you know, making money. Don't care how we make the money, let's make the money. You know, modern football, you can get a lot of money to buy players. You know, they say, you know, the prices are going up at everything, inflation. A mid-range championship dud's now 10 mil, you know. This is where it's getting nowadays. I mean, why would we spend 10 mil in Scotland? Let's go and get Messi. No, I'm not. Yeah, I think I want a forward-thinking modern football, someone that's in touch with the modern game and where it is now and where it could be in the next 5-10 years. I think we can't be stuck in our ways of what we do today is what we're going to do 10 years down the line. That needs to evolve with the game, because if we don't, we're going to get left in the dust again. Granted, as we've said many a time, when the game took these big steps to where it is today and how clubs are run, we were going through hell. So we maybe have an excuse, but those excuses are going to run dry when this takeover comes to fruition.
Completely, yeah. Kenny, I think it's been all about the potential that this offers. Sporting director, manager, even just the way that clubs run. All these are now taking place with a different context, which is that we have the hopes that we're going to have a serious financial backing, and the plan will be to run us very much like a modern professional football club. And that's only going to offer and promise good things for us in the future.
Yeah, listen, in terms of sporting director, I actually have no idea. It's one of those things that Andrew's just said it there, but we have to get up to date. We have to be a modern football club. That Mark Allen did an okay job for us, actually, before Ross Wilson took over. Ross Wilson did not do a good job. And it was the first, I don't know if you guys can recall this, but Stuart Gibson did an interview with another podcast, and he actually sat there and told us all that Ross Wilson and Robertson were doing a fantastic job. and about 3 months later, they were both fired, basically. And it was the first kind of real proper alarm bells that I actually had about that board of investors, because you kind of put your faith and trust in guys that are Rangers fans that, well, credit to them, they're piling their own cash in to try and make us a better, football club at the end of the day, and a football team. But that was the first kind of proper fear that I had, because I sat open mouth listening to him. But anyway, in terms of sporting director, if Steven Gerrard's coming back, then it might well be Mark Allen's coming back as well. You never know, because they work really well together. But I don't know who that could be. And if the rumour is true, as Sheryl saying, that it perhaps is somebody that knows the league very well, perhaps an ex-player or an ex-manager that's already been in here, then I genuinely couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But in terms of the takeover itself, you've kind of hit the nail on the head for me, Andrew. It's not so much being backed by, wealthy backers. This now, it's the San Francisco 49ers. They are one of the biggest sporting institutions on the planet, and with that comes the amount of commercial opportunities we're going to get, the amount of sponsorship opportunities, the amount of tie-ins. That I mentioned this last week, Andrew. I don't think as Rangers fans we've even dreamt of half of these things that other sporting entities that are way, way bigger than us have, and the connections they have and the opportunities that you can get. And that's where I can see us as a football club growing. I read this thing about this a wee while back that, not when I say a while back, a week or so ago, it was very quickly here, but it was basically that when, entities this size take over a football club like ours, the revenue in general doubles within 3, 4, 5 years. It could be as little as 3 years, your revenue will double. So all this nonsense that the other half of the city are talking about financial fair play, and yeah, we understand it. We know how it works too. You don't need to try and spoon feed us. We understand. We're not stupid. But the problem that they seem to not be taking on board is that the commercial deals cover that. It's revenue that's the issue. And we are well within financial fair play rules as it is. We've got plenty of scope with the current revenue that we have. Never mind if we go and increase that revenue about 30, 40, 50% the next year or 18 months. All of a sudden, we can properly invest in the squad. And I don't think they'll invest hugely in transfer fees and stuff like that, Andrew. I think that it will be the entire infrastructure of the football department. I think what you will see prosper, and it will prosper very quickly if, and it's a big if, but if they get the right people in place right across the board, then that's what, for me, I want to see happen more than anything else, is that they actually look at the wrongs that are within the club and correct them and rectify them instantly and say, that's not happening here. And you go, right, okay, and it's a modern culture, and it's a change culture for us, I think, a little bit. And I've mentioned this, but I'm going to mention this for the third time, but my son has said this already, that, we are, as a club, kind of stuck in the past, because that really successful time that we have had is such a long time ago. And from, nearly 20 years now, if you think about it, Andrew, our club's been enshrouded in chaos. Whether it's been David Murray in the last few years, the last 10 years, where he didn't put much money in, and the chaos that was all going on, to the current day, that's how long this has been going on for us. So that's what I would say. That's what we need to do.
I think your point about the board being pretty constant chaos is basically the entire time that Andrew's been watching Rangers, unfortunately. So, definitely a motivation to get some stability. Listen, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to all of you. To everyone out there watching or listening, we thank you as well. We are doing fantastically well. I think, obviously, a bit of chaos helps with that. Rangers getting some fairly historic results, both good and bad, over the past few weeks. But we're getting more numbers. We're getting more people subbing. I think we're about 50,000 views away from hitting 1 million views across the channel, which is absolutely insane to me. I thought the audience would basically be my wife and, maybe one or two people Kenny knew. So the fact that we got so many people tuning in has been magnificent for us. And the fact that the numbers keep going up and subs and members keep going up as well, it's been phenomenal to see. So we can't thank you guys enough out there for tuning in, subscribing, backing us in whatever way you do. Thank you so much. I could not do this by myself. It would be very awkward and weird. So I want to thank my three lovely co-hosts. First of all, Sheryl, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I don't know if this is a good omen or a bad thing, Andrew, but I believe I might be back in my other capacity on the gantry on Thursday. So let's hope it's better than the last time, but as good as the previous 2 times before that.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm staying far away.
Yeah.
I'm staying far away. I'm not going to risk jinxing this one. Of course. Andrew, my friend, thank you again so much. Always appreciate having you on, mate.
Thanks for having me on. I mean, it's good. Without Rangers winning, we would have to discuss the Matondo knee injury. So, it's good that we have actual Rangers positivity to discuss. And good chat as always. And thanks again.
Well, the good thing is that the positivity should endure all the way through to next Thursday's game, because we don't have a game over the weekend to ruin it for us. Kenny, thank you again, mate. Always appreciate it. And always good to get your input, mate.
No, thank you, Andrew. Thanks, Sheryl. Thanks, Andrew. You're right. I would just want to mention that as well about the numbers we're getting at the minute. In the last 5 or 6 weeks, it has been through the roof. I want to thank everybody, for every single person, for watching and listening, subscribing, everything you do, click the like button, everything. The site's just going from strength to strength, isn't it? And we're even back writing and everything again. It's gone crazy. It's been brilliant. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, echo again what Kenny said there. Can't thank you guys out there enough. We'd probably still do it even without you, but you guys out there make it much easier to do so. So we thank you very much for that. Always a pleasure talking to you. We'll be back with you on Monday. But until we talk to you again, bye for now.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clyde Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited and CSD Air Conditioning, along with Art of Gold. Thank you for listening or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.